Hello everybody and welcome to a new video on our channel here where we are going to be ranking all of the leaders in Civilization 6 on Tier Maker. Yes, I am shamelessly looking for subscribers and views. So how am I going to be ranking these civs? Well, I'm going to be ranking them based on their performance, their bonuses, how well they work together on a random standard size deity map. So if we load up a fractal map, maybe we use the secret societies and heroes and legends, and maybe we don't. If we load up these civs, how well do they perform? How easy is it to get a win with them? How well do their bonuses work together? So S tier up here, these are the overpowered civs. They are the super good, like it is impossible to lose if you can survive like the first 20-30 turns of the game as these guys. It is really hard to get a loss. The A tier are great civs that overperform, civs that it is maybe not super easy to get a win, but it's kind of hard to lose. As long as you can get your game plan rolling, they will get you a win eventually. B are going to be your average, just good civs. These are civs that, hey, if you can survive 100 turns, get your game plan rolling, not get blocked too hard by the AI, you're probably going to come out with a win. The C tiers are like, I don't want to say bad, but underperformers, underpowered, like bad, less than average. You might not lose all the time with these civs, but their abilities probably don't work very well together. Or on Deity, you're probably going to lose 5 games out of 10, 5 starts out of 10 if you can't survive the first 100 turns. It's just, they're harder to win than most. And then D needs to be buffed. And these civs are just the bad ones. The ones that feels horrible to play. The ones where you roll them on a random map and you think, why did I get these? So while I go through here, I'm going to be thinking especially about these D tier civs, like what can we do to make them better? How can we make them a little more average to get everybody in that nice average range? Starting first with our boy Alexander here. If I was making this tier list like before the new frontier patch, I think Alexander would be OP. He would be up here in the top. However, as we're sitting right now, Alexander has sort of lost his shine compared to a lot of other civs. Alexander is a great domination civ. His whole package is built around going to war and staying at war. Never suffering from war weariness is a huge boost. It's hard, like a lot of people don't think about how strong that can be, but like even though negatives from amenities aren't like super crippling, the positives you get from amenities are huge. So if you can keep your cities happy for a long time, you're just pumping out just better cities. Also, one of the strongest or like the most difficult thing about domination victories is constantly keeping your units healed and promoted and on the front line. So if you're next to someone like Chin and they're just building tons of wonders, you are going to have super healthy units the entire time, and you won't need to be using your promotions to heal. Their bonus, the Hypaspist, the swordsman, it is good, but it's not great. It does have 3 extra combat strength, but that doesn't like change things. The strongest thing they can do is like siege down a district early on in the game when you're fighting someone who has an encampment or something. Sieging down those districts is nice. The Basilicoi they get in their encampment, the building that gives you science for every unit you build is good. And the cavalry that Alexander gets that gets you great generals and then gets combat strength from having great generals is very good. So altogether, Alexander's whole setup is very well designed to push him towards war. But does that mean he's OP? Not anymore. I feel like there are other civs that just do constant war better. And even though Alexander used to be like top of the pack, he is probably just above average now. He is great for taking over the world as early as possible. If you can get that 3-city setup, get your bronze working done, and just start producing units like crazy, you're gonna have a great game. But you're not going to win as easily as some of the other civs on this list. Next up on our list here is Amanitore for Nubia. And Amanitore is like just an overall very useful civ. They're very strong. Their kit is well put together. They, again, like Alexander, I used to think that they were OP, but not anymore. They are, to me, along with Rome here, Amanitore is like the best beginner civilization in the game. Everything you want as a beginner is set up well in Amanitore. Do you need to know how to build districts? Well, you can build them much cheaper. If you want to learn how to put districts together, you have the Nubian Pyramid, which encourages you to place districts around a central point. What's the hardest thing about playing Deity? Surviving. Well, have this super good archer that has crazy good ranged combat, and it's only 1 or 2 turns more expensive to produce. The issue I have with Amanitore is that she's just boring. She does, like, you get the 20% production towards districts, which is good, but it's too flexible. It's just wide open, and it doesn't really push you in any sort of direction very well. You do get 40% if you have a Nubian pyramid next to your city center, but in all honesty, the Nubian pyramid is probably the worst thing about the civilization. The Nubian pyramid is great if you get desert next to your city center, because it gives you 2 faith and 2 food, plus 1 food if it's next to your city center. But how often are you going to be able to use like desert in your cities? This is something that's pretty rare. You're probably only going to get like 4 of these at best across your like 12 city empire, and it's just not worth it. The best thing about Amanitore is her archer. The archer that gets 5 extra combat strength overall. That's the best thing. So even though she's like perfect, if you're new to the game, she's going to be up here. But if you played the game for a while and you know what you're doing, she's probably a little closer to average. Just because there's no real bonuses here. I mean, she does get the bonus. Don't they get the bonus for mines? Plus 2 gold on mines over bonus and luxury resources. Well, usually you're going to be harvesting those bonus resources anyway, and luxury resource mines, okay, extra gold, that's fine, but it's not winning you the game. It's just, they don't get a super strong head start. They just allow you to do what you want to do easier. That's it. So as far as Nubia goes, just average. Let's talk about Gaul and Ambiorix. Ambiorix, OP tier. I absolutely love Gaul in this game. So let's talk about why they're so good. First of all, their bonus is you get, what is it? It's culture on mines, which is huge. And when you build a mine, you get surrounding tiles, which saves you money and culture in the future. So this is the upside of their bonus, and the supposed downside is specialty districts don't get any adjacency bonus from other districts. But whatever, who cares? Okay, so this culture bonus is so huge because I used to think science was the most important thing in the game. You needed to get a strong science game in order to win the game. However, in recent memory, I have started really understanding that the key to winning a Civ 6 game is strong culture output, because science, yeah, you're getting new units and you're getting new buildings, but the strongest thing in this game are envoys for city-states, it's policy cards, and governor titles. All of these things are the things that are actually like changing how you play the game. And you don't get those from science. You get those from your culture. So science, all science is getting you is some buildings, not all the buildings, just some of the buildings, and science is getting you units. Well, how does Gaul make up for not having their science? Well, they have their Gazete, the unique unit, which gives you a +10 combat strength when fighting units of a higher base combat strength than you. So if you're behind in the classical era and you're invaded by a Civ, well, guess what? You have a warrior replacement that costs just a little bit more, but you're able to defend much stronger with it because you get that bonus for attacking things that are stronger than you. I also think, don't they get like a bonus for being next to other units? I don't remember, but that's huge. Ambiorix himself also gets culture when you start producing melee units. Oh, and Ambiorix is the one that gets the combat strength for being next to each other. So you're getting this culture to just boost you up to build your empire out. And not only that, you're encouraged to go wide and you keep getting free tiles, so you're able to claim up huge parts of the map. And then that's not even the best part about them. The best part is that you get the Oppidum, which is their unique industrial zone at ironworking, which is so much earlier than any other Civ except for Babylon can get their industrial zone. And not only that, it is a half cost industrial zone. And a lot of people are anti-industrial zone in Civ 6, but I think that production in a city is the most important part of the city. If you can produce things, you can start making military, you can start making districts, you can start making buildings faster, which just snowballs you so far out of control that nobody else can catch up to you. So because Ambiorix just allows you to explode so quickly since the start of the game with your culture gain, with everything else, he is just the best early game Civ, in my opinion, in the game. Next up is Basil with Byzantium, and Basil's good. I like Basil. I don't think he's OP. I don't think he is as strong as Ambiorix. So, but I do feel like, well, I also don't think he's as strong as Alexander, and there's a couple of reasons why. But he is in this great tier. So the entire Byzantium playstyle is get a religion, build a couple of entertainment districts, get the Crusade belief, go kill a couple of units from another Civ, and then just roll everybody. But it's difficult to immediately get to that point. So a lot of the religious civs suffer from this. He suffers from it less than others. That's why he's in the great tier and he's not average or less than average. A lot of religious civs don't really get that huge bonus to getting their own religion. He does, however. It's not a huge bonus. You get +1 great prophet points from your holy sites. So if you can get astrology, or yeah, is it astronomy, whatever, the holy site science, if you can get to that point, and if you can survive long enough to build 2 holy sites, I don't feel like Basil is a civ that needs to get his shrines and his holy site projects. He can get a religion from just having those 2 things. But you're probably going to get the last religion in the game, or the second to last religion in the game. And if Saladin's in the game, you have to be very careful. You always have to assume the Saladin's in the game. So even though it is slightly easier for him to get his great prophet, because you don't get any bonus to your holy sites, you don't get any like half cost holy sites or anything, it really hurts him overall getting his religion. And your whole game as Basil is based around having that religion. Now, Crusade is a belief on your religion that the AI never goes for, so you're pretty much going to get it guaranteed. And once you get that, everything starts to come together for you. So you get bonuses to attacking civilizations who have your religion in their city. You get bonuses to combat, and I think you get bonuses to religious strength combat. So you are encouraged to spread your religion. However, you're not encouraged to play a faith-based victory here. You're encouraged to spread your religion through melee combat with units instead of religious combat, because whenever you kill a unit with your units, your religion will spread to that city, which is what you want. And then you just keep killing units, spreading your religion through combat, killing units, spreading your religion through combat, and that allows you to take cities even faster. Now, most domination civs really need like bonuses to melee units, but Basil also has that. If you build your Hippodrome, the half-cost entertainment district that you have, once you've unlocked your Tagma, which I think comes at the same... No, it comes at Divine Right, which is a civic card that you're going to be wanting to get anyway. You get these free knights that cost no maintenance and no iron to build. You just have to build your entertainment complexes, which are half cost anyway. They start at just like 30 production. So once you start getting your entertainment complexes placed, you can start spreading your religion through killing things with your units, which can allow you to take cities. And I think your Tagma get a bonus to taking cities. I'm not one. What do they get? I don't think they get the bonus because cavalry don't, but they get a. They're like great generals. They boost all your other units around them. So you just get this like snowball going and going and going. But it can be a little difficult to get that snowball started, which is why he is not OP tier. Moving on to Batreu in Vietnam. Vietnam is good. I think they're a very fun civ. They are definitely above average. To me, they're less fun than Basil, but they're probably better as a civ than Byzantium is. They're just... The general consensus among the community is that they're great. I don't think they're as great as everybody else thinks they are. I haven't played them an incredible amount of times. Only like 2 times maybe total. They are good to me. Like, they're really good in my opinion. They're probably great, but I just don't vibe with them as well. So what makes them great? Well, it's not their leader ability where they get the bonus combat strength in rainforest and woods and movement and stuff. Like, their leader, Batreu, she makes you think that Vietnam is a very defensive civ. And a lot of their bonuses are towards like their encampment and stuff, so it makes you look at first glance that they're like a military sort of defensive sort of civ, but they're not. The best way to play them is as a tourism civ. They get an insane amount of culture. So you get the +1 culture for you had to build your districts on woods or rainforest or marshes, but all of the buildings in your district gets a bonus depending on what you've built your stuff on. So you get culture for woods, science for rainforest, and production for marshes. But how often are you going to have a ton of rainforest and marsh? You're probably going to be building all your districts on wood, so you're going to get a ton of culture if you're just building your districts and building your basic buildings within your districts. And it seems super restrictive, like, oh, how often am I going to have woods in my empire? Well, you can plant woods at medieval fairs instead of conservationism. And medieval fairs is like, you're getting that within the first 100 turns of the game at least. So, especially with all the culture she's pushing out, you're going to get it much sooner. Not only that, you get this crazy, what is it, the Than, the crazy encampment district, which is like an encampment, but it's not an encampment. It's like a theater square. You get +2 culture for every adjacent district on this theater square, and not only that, but you're getting the tourism from that culture once you get to flight. And it doesn't take a district slot. It's like an aqueduct or the government plaza. It's a free, not a government plaza. It's like the aqueduct or the space, what is it? The space port? It is a free district. So you put it down in every one of your cities, and I use it like a government plaza where so in my government plaza city, I build my districts around my government plaza and I put the thon on the outside, but anywhere outside of that, I will put 1 or 2 thons in between a ton of other districts and just pump through culture like crazy. And if you're doing it right, and you're also building holy sites, you're getting so much culture and tourism, which you can convert if you get the Void Singers, you're going to have so many naturalists. You're going to be making national parks because you have so much woods and you have rainforest in your, not rainforest, sorry, you have woods in your borders. So you're going to have high appeal. So you're just pushing towards this in-game goal of defending, and then popping off on culture so hard that you win a tourism victory, which in my opinion is like the most fun victory in the game. So yeah, I can see that Batriu is great, but I just haven't played her enough to really enjoy it. But looking at all of the bonuses, it looks so good and it works so well, and it doesn't feel great to me, but she is super strong. Next up, we have France with Black Queen Catherine and Magnificence Catherine. And I personally do not like France. First of all, I'm going to put the Black Queen Catherine in less than average and Magnificence Catherine down here in terrible tier. I don't like Magnificence Catherine. So why don't I like France? So the whole French game plan is tourism based. You are encouraged to build wonders that come from the, industrial era and maybe medieval era, I think. Medieval, Renaissance, and industrial, I think. And you get it's like a 20% a bonus to producing those things, but that's not how you win culture games. You don't want, when you're playing culture games, you want like one wonder, and that is the Eiffel Tower. And yeah, you get the bonus to that, but it doesn't, you're playing a very vanilla Civ up until that point, and it just doesn't help you. Catherine, Black Queen Catherine, you do get the spies, and spies are great. So you get a free spy, and you get an extra spy capacity, and you get a free promotion on your spy, and yeah, that's cool. And you're supposed to be stealing great works with those spies, but most of the time you're going to be stealing gold with your spies. That's what you use spies for, is to steal gold with. And then so it's not moving your game plan forward at all. As well as that, the Magnificence Catherine, all you get is, it's like a bonus culture to luxury resources. Whatever, you have to have your luxury resources next to a theater square or a chateau, and chateaus are one of the worst unique improvements in the game because it is so restrictive on where you can place them. You have to place them next to wonders, you need to place them on rivers, and you're only getting like +1 or +2 culture and +2 gold overall. It's just not good. It's not worth the builder slot at all to make it. And finally, Magnificence Catherine here, she gets a bonus to, she gets that unique court festival project, which gives you tourism based on how many extra luxury resources you have. But that means that you don't want to be selling your luxury resources for gold, which is like one of the only ways to survive on Deity. So everything about the two French leaders just works against you or gives you no bonus until halfway through the game when you desperately need to catch up in Deity. If you're playing on lower levels, yeah, these guys are probably great, but if you're up on Deity, you can't survive long enough to get use out of their bonuses. It's really difficult. And not only that, you get the Garde Imperiale, the line infantry, or is it a musket? I think it was a musket, now it's a line infantry, which comes in the Renaissance era, and it's just not keeping you alive. So you're playing a very vanilla Civ. You have no bonuses, and then suddenly you get all your bonuses and you have to catch up, and it just doesn't feel great. Up next here is Chandragupta of the Indian Empire. And the Civ community, I have found, sort of hates Chandragupta, but I like him. I like him more than Amanitore. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's less than average. I think he's average, but I think he's better than Amanitore average. So for me personally, I think he's a little bit more fun than Nubia. Nubia is probably better, but I think he's more fun, so I'm going to put him a little bit higher. So what bonuses does he get? Well, India gets the bonus to having other civs religions within your border. So like if you have cities that have a different, like with multiple religious followers within your cities, you're getting like the bonuses of that, of all of the religions. You get the follower beliefs of every one of the religions, which can be really strong. Not only that, but you're also getting like +1 amenity, I think, for each religion. So that's super, super, super great. The bonus you get to spreading religion doesn't really work for Chandragupta as much. That doesn't really matter. But having those follower beliefs and having those amenities really supports his playstyle, which is go to war with your 2 neighbors as fast as possible. So while the deity AI is building up their religion and spreading it to you, you should be building up your military infrastructure in your first few cities, and then declaring Chandragupta's special war of territorial expansion, which gives you plus combat strength and movement, which is basically Cyrus's leader ability. You need to build up your infrastructure, get those civs to send their religion to you, and then you just conquer your 2 neighbors and use that to go with whatever game plan you want to go with. So like you have their religions within your cities, so you're getting at least 2 follower beliefs within your cities, and you're getting all those extra amenities. And so yeah, you can go to war super early with Chandragupta and you're not really hurt by it. That being said, you don't have any other bonuses. You don't have anything else to sort of help you along. The Varu is nice for controlling your neighbors. You get it pretty early at horseback riding. And the Stepwell is just okay for building bigger cities. So you use your early aggression to turn into whatever game plan you want to do. Probably science. I think science works really well with India because you can get really big cities. So yeah, that's what you go for, and it works well. I like it. Next up, Cyrus, and I dislike Persia. I have kind of always disliked Persia. I am always upset whenever I roll Persia on a random game. Persia, early on in the Civ meta, was probably up here great or OP. But to me, right now, they are less than average. They're better than France. They're probably the top less than average Civ, but I just do not like playing as Persia. The Paradisa nerf. Paradisas were the whole reason why this Civ was super OP. Being able to get so much tourism and appeal from just building your unique improvement, which would give you buffs to various things based on what they were built beside, was just so strong. I think they're too split. It's either war or culture, and you usually can't do both very well. I don't think their war bonuses are great. The Immortal is nice, but it's not the amazing unit that everybody seems to think that it is. And the movement that you get from declaring a surprise war is good, but movement doesn't necessarily win wars. Movement is nice. Movement is really good. That's what makes Grand Columbia so good. But I don't think the movement for declaring surprise wars is super, super, super strong, which means that they don't get a huge high placement on my list. This is probably my most controversial opinion. I just dislike Persia, and I think after the nerfs to the Paradisas and the nerfs to things like Earth Goddess and just in New Frontier in general, Persia just doesn't feel fun to play and doesn't feel good to play. Let's talk about Phoenicia. So Phoenicia is, I don't know, I feel like I struggle a bit with Phoenicia. I want to like them a lot, but I don't think I play them right whenever I do play them. So Phoenicia is really good at expanding pretty quickly, but only expanding to coastal cities. And coastal cities are good, but they're usually pretty low production cities. They're not the choicest cities. I think that Phoenicia is probably better than Cyrus, but like lower than these average guys. Maybe Phoenicia is average, but the way I play them is less than average. So the Kothon is great. I do love harbors. I think harbors and coastal cities are phenomenal. But the only real bonus you're getting from Phoenicia is that harbor. You're not getting anything from their leader ability. Dido, she allows you to move your capital, which you're not really. I think I've only ever used that once. You're not really using that, and you do get the bonus to loyalty for cities on the same continent as your capital, but like, so to me, that seems like you want to build up your continent and then settle in the Renaissance era or later on another continent with a bunch of cities and then move your capital. But then you have to hope that your cities on your old capital are loyal enough to stay. And loyalty on Deity gets really, really heavy. It gets hard to deal with at some point. You do start with the boost to riding, which is okay. It's not great, but it's okay, and you can embark faster, but there's no real strong bonus that you're getting to me except for the Kothon, and all you're getting is a half-priced harbor that allows you to build settlers faster. So they're not terrible because you can build settlers really quickly and you can spread out really quickly, but that's all you get. Once you've spread out, what do? You have a bunch of coastal cities that aren't getting you anything except for money, and not even that much money. So, like, what are you supposed to do with Phoenicia except for expand? And I just think that they struggle because of that. Eleanor, oh, Eleanor. Eleanor is not good. Eleanor is bad. English Eleanor first is probably the worst civ in the game. Eleanor's whole playstyle is to get a bunch of great works and get high population cities on your borders, put those great works in there, and then take cities, and then move your great works forward, and then take cities. And that's not a very strong playstyle because the cities you're grabbing are going to be lower population than your past cities, and you need high population cities to get loyalty pressure to flip cities on your borders. So it's really hard to flip capitals and like central cities. You're only flipping border cities, and then you have to like struggle and work so hard. And on top of that, English Eleanor gets no bonuses at all to the culture game. You're not getting any bonuses to getting great works. You get the Royal Navy Dockyard, which gives you extra coal, which like you don't want. You don't want that in your culture game as Eleanor. So like English Eleanor, she just feels awful. She feels really, really, really bad to play as. The Royal Navy Dockyard and the English ability just doesn't help you at all. French Eleanor is a little better than that. It's at least playable because you are encouraged to get theater squares and stuff for your chateaus and your great works, and you want to build wonders. But she suffers from the same problem that the other French leaders suffer from, is that your wonders come in the Renaissance and later era, and by then your bonus to wonders comes then, and it's just too late. And she's worse than Catherine because at least Catherine's spies are useful. Eleanor's ability is just not useful. Is it fun? Yeah, if you can get it to work, it feels great, but it just hurts, and English Eleanor just got the worst end of the deal, so I avoid playing these two leaders as much as possible. Finally, some good news here for the past few people. We've had some below average civs. Freddy of Germany, on the other hand, is a great civ. Probably, you know what? I think Freddy, in all honesty, is better than Alexander, Batriou, and Basil, in my opinion. Remember, this is an opinion-based tier list. So what makes Freddy so good? It's not his leader ability, okay? So the additional military policy slot is fun, it helps, but I mean, most of the time military policies are your least favorite policies anyway. You want like extra economic or extra wildcard policies, so this is not a wonderful ability, and you don't really want to be going to war with city-states. However, the German ability of having one more specialty district than your population limit allows you to get super good cities going very quickly. You can settle trash cities and still get 2 specialty districts right away, which is so useful with their unique district, the Hansa, which is a super cheap industrial zone that gives you bonuses for your commercial hubs, and then your commercial hubs will get extra gold because of the adjacency bonus from having the city center and the Hansa next to it. A lot of people don't build industrial zones because they don't think the return on investment is good enough, but if you can get it for cheaper and you get the major bonus for having the commercial hub, which you can build faster because you have the industrial zone, now you have cities that have gold and production to build buildings or units, and gold to buy whatever you're not building. So Germany ends up being incredibly flexible because of that, and it's just fun. It puts you like it pushes you in a direction that feels good. Maybe, like, thinking about it now, maybe I would drop Freddy below these two because he's not as focused as these two on what they're doing, but he is good leader. The U-boat, although sucks, you don't really want it. So to me, Freddy would be like OP tier, and he used to be, but because he's sort of held back by his bad leader ability and his bad unique unit, the Hansa is amazing and the German bonus is amazing, but it can't overcome those 2 dead weights. Play Germany, they're fun. Gandhi. I don't like Gandhi as much as Chandragupta, and I think he is probably a less than average civ. The problem with Gandhi is your whole situation is based on religion. So you get faith from having a religion, you get faith from not being at war with people with other religions, and you're supposed to use that faith, which is a lot. Like, you can get a maximum of, was it 5 times 5 is 25 faith per turn, just from meeting people and not being at war with them, like not including your void singers, not including your holy sites. And you use that to buy your apostles, but Gandhi doesn't have any real strength to getting a religion. Gandhi isn't really getting a bonus to getting any religion. He doesn't have anything to get him that religion. And if you don't have the religion, what are you doing? Like, you have no bonuses to any other victory type except for the follower beliefs that you get, and often the follower beliefs that you get are not going to be strong at all. So, like, he has nothing to help him win the victory that he wants to win because he can't get that religion on deity very easily. So even though Gandhi is a nice, chill, peaceful civ to play as, it's hard to get a win. Genghis Khan is a civ that I like. I think he is better than these 2 civs, in my opinion. People might disagree with Amanitore, but I think Genghis Khan is better than Chandragupta and Amanitore. He is very focused on what he can do. He is a encampment and commercial hub domination sort of civ. You build your cavalry, you build your encampment, you build your Urdu in your encampment so that your cavalry get promoted, and then they get their movement. You build your keshiks, which are ranged cavalry, and you use those keshiks to kill other cavalry and get more cavalry, and you just Grey Goo yourself across the map. If you're fighting someone like Byzantium or Scythia, easy peasy, you're getting tons of cavalry off of that. You're using that cavalry to attack twice a turn once they get highly promoted because of your Urdus. You're using your trade routes sent to those cities to deal more damage to the cities because of your diplomatic visibility. And then you are using the escort promotion or the escort ability on the keshiks to move some sort of melee units or something to the front line so that you can take cities easier because cavalry has a problem versus districts and cities. So he's very good at what he's focused at. It's just what he's focused at is not the best. Cavalry domination is not super strong, and his is a little worse than Basil's because the Keshik is, in my opinion, a little worse than the Tagma. And Basil has strength to religious games, and if you can do religion well, you can do everything well because you can get science or culture or gold based off of your religion. So the Keshik, they're great, they're fun. Genghis Khan, he's great, he's fun. It's nice to just romp and take over the world every now and then, but he's not amazing at it, so he's just average. Sumeria is a civ that I have changed my opinion on. When I first started playing Civ 6, Sumeria was like up here great. But as I got better at the game and understood more about the game, Sumeria is like down here, maybe down here, sort of bad. Like, I'm gonna put him worse than Catherine, but better than Eleanor. Sumeria doesn't get enough bonuses to really matter. So, like, they have the war cart, which is like super strong. You should be using it to take over your neighbors, but it's very expensive. It's a little hard to build. Like, chariots are not something you want to be building very early on in the game. You just sort of want to get them from your meteor strikes and move on. Also, his bonuses, like, yeah, capturing a barbarian outpost and getting your goody hut reward, that's cool. And levying city-states is okay, but you only want to levy city-states if you're hungry. Like, you don't really want to be levying city-states as anyone else, really, because hungry gets all... Where is hungry on this list? Yeah, you really want to get the bonuses that you get with hungry for levying city-states. The Ziggurat is actually why I'm putting him this low. Oh, why is the Ziggurat so low? It's +2 science. Who cares? The +2 science is not good. You're placing these on tiles that you want to place farms or districts on. The Ziggurat is something that you place, you use it to get caught up a little bit, to get ahead a little bit, and then you cover over it with something else. So it's essentially a wasted builder charge, and builder charges are a premium in this game. You can get +2 science, +1 culture, plus like 2 or 3 food if you put it on a river, but is that better than getting like a farm triangle that gives you +6 food? Like, who really cares about the +2 science on the tile in the long term of the game? So Sumeria, he needs to be buffed. I think the Ziggurat needs to be placed in more places. I think his whole leader ability of getting the bonuses for declaring war and pillaging with your allies needs to be rethought. It's very thematic. It does make sense in the story of Gilgamesh, but it just doesn't fit into this game very well. Guitarja. I love Guitarja. I love Indonesia. It's one of my favorite designs in the whole game. Now, do I think Indonesia is as good as these civs up here? No. Is she better than these civs over here? Yes. Why do I like Indonesia so much? I like faith-based games. I think faith is super flexible, and I like tourism-based games. To me, it's a little bit more fun. And Guitarja's whole deal is just getting so much faith. If you settle cities on coastal or freshwater cities, like coast or lake cities, you are getting bonuses to having faith. You're just getting a lot of faith. +2 faith per city. You can use that faith to build more cities during Monumentality Golden Ages. You can use that faith to purchase naval units on archipelago maps to dominate the whole world. You can use that faith to build builders, to build your kampungs, which gets you food, which gets you production, which makes your cities bigger, and it even gives you tourism based off of food once you get flight. You use that faith to buy your naturalists. You get bonuses to your districts for putting them on the coastline and lake tiles. Now that's not super great because you're never going to find, unless you get like a peninsula, you're never going to get a high adjacency tile on the coast. But if you get multiple districts on the coast, it really starts to add up. Everything about Indonesia is so focused on producing faith and using that faith to do things. And faith plays are the most interesting plays in the game to me because it's just the most flexible and it allows you to do the most things. It allows you to do the most things with your game. So Guitarja, even though she's not the strongest, she's certainly not the weakest, and she might be one of my favorites in the entire game. Gorgo, I'm gonna do Gorgo and Pericles together here. I want to do the Greek civs together because to me they're two halves of the same coin. Gorgo is the less good Greek leader in my opinion, but she's still great. Getting the culture for killing units is very useful because culture is such a strong yield in the game to get you those specialty slots, to get you those governments, to get you those cards, to get you those envoys, to get you the government titles. It's really good. The thing that's holding Gorgo back is the Hoplite is not a very good unit. It's only like 3 combat strength stronger than the regular Spearman, and you have to have multiple Hoplites in order to get good use out of them. The Deity AI gets a +10 combat bonus, and I think the highest you can get with a Hoplite is... So if you get the Hoplite beside a Hoplite, you get +10, so that matches you with the Deity AI, which is better than I thought, actually, so I might actually move Gorgo up to better than these two. That's better than I thought it was. So... comes at bronze working, which is pretty early. To me, the best thing about Greece is the Acropolis and then the extra wildcard slot. It's just so useful having that extra wildcard slot for anything you want to do. Also, Gorgo gets a bonus plus combat strength for every military policy, so that Hoplite with another Hoplite and autocracy, that's a plus 12 combat strength, which is much better than I thought it was, that's really good. That's really strong. I might have to move her up a little bit. So that's really good. She's focused on military, and culture helps you go through military, but you do need that science a little more for military games in order to get your units. Once your Hoplite is obsolete, you lose all those bonuses as Gorgo, and all you're holding on to is the bonuses for getting culture for killing units and bonuses for getting combat strength for military policy slots. So you have like a limited window of time to really get the most use out of your Hoplites. So if you're not doing it, you're kind of slowing yourself down. But later, once you get fascism and you get like +12 combat strength from that, you're rolling. You're doing great. Pericles, though, in my opinion, is the better Greek leader, and I'm going to put him above Alexander. Pericles feels so good to play. I love city-state based plays, and like I've said before a million times, culture is one of the most important yields you get from the game for accelerating yourself faster. Culture leads to science. Science doesn't really lead to culture. So getting the extra culture for taking over city-states, getting the extra envoy from building your Acropolis, getting the bonus culture off of your Acropolis, it's the best theater square in the entire game, I have seen crazy high culture amounts with Pericles. And in my opinion, you don't actually use that culture to win a culture victory with him. You should use that culture to win a Diplo victory with him, because you can build the Patola Palace and you can build the Statue of Liberty much earlier than any other civ in the game, because you're hitting those culture milestones much easier. So I love the Greek leaders. I think that they are very focused and very good at what they want to do. Let's talk Babylon with Hammurabi next. Hammurabi is fun. They have the most unique playstyle in the entire game, hands down. Do I think that makes them great? No. Do I think that it makes them bad? No. They are average, probably better than all of these civs right here. Hammurabi is all about doing the Eurekas. You get a huge negative to your science, but every time you do a Eureka, you get the technology for free. So that makes for some crazy games. It is incredibly easy to unlock the technology for industrial zones, for crossbows, and even for flight. You can unlock crossbows in the classical era or ancient era if you try. Now, does that mean you are able to build the crossbows and planes in those eras? No. That's what holds him back. He gets those techs, but his cities can't keep up that early. You can't have the production that early to build the things that you need to build. However, the Palgum, their unique building, gives you +2 production, +1 food to all freshwater tiles. So food to all your freshwater tiles in the city allows you to build your cities up really quickly to catch up with the science that you're gaining. His Sabum Kibitum, the unique warrior scout sort of thing, it's not great. It's nice for getting your Eurekas for like your holy sites and stuff early and getting goody huts for extra Eurekas, but I don't think that they're the greatest. I do love Hammurabi's ability where you get the first building for free in each district that you build for the first time, so that allows you to, again, catch your cities up to your science a little bit faster. But because your science is outstripping your cities so much, I feel like he is held back by his ability to use the things that he researches. Yes, you can get planes all the way down in the classical era, but you can't build them and you don't have enough gold to buy them. But if you do, you are definitely going to win the game. Do I think what type of victory are they greatest at? Is probably domination. I don't feel that they're a very, very good science civ because the late game technologies will not be getting boosted for you, so you're not going to be getting those technologies for free. And then the science that you need to go to the exoplanet expedition can't be boosted, or either the ones that starts the exoplanet or the one that speeds it up can't be boosted, and you're not going to be researching it fast enough with your 50% reduction to science. So this is a domination civ that has the most unique playstyle in the game, but he's not the best civ. Norway. Herald is kind of weird. I enjoy Herald. I like Herald's playstyle, pillaging things, going through and just destroying coastal cities, but I have to admit that it's not a good playstyle. But it's not bad. It's not a terrible playstyle. I'm going to put him pretty much on the bottom of average. His playstyle of burning down cities and pillaging their stuff, if the AI settles at least one coastal city, you can just perma-war that AI and just destroy its stuff over and over and over again to get a bunch of bonuses out of it. And if you put in the raid card, you get a crazy amount of stuff from it. Their other bonuses, though, are not super great. The early ocean movement is not super good. The longboat isn't great. But I do enjoy the Stave Church. Again, I like faith-based plays, so I do enjoy the Stave Church because you get lots of faith and you get +1 production for every coastal resource worked by the city. And since you're encouraged to settle coastally anyway to get your longboats and to pillage other coastal cities, it works. And I don't really play Pangea maps. I usually play fractal maps, and on fractal maps you do get those long, stringy, thin isthmuses and islands that the AI tend to settle, so you do get to use him quite a bit. So he's not as bad as other people think he is, and since he got that buff with the extra pillaging and stuff, things have gotten a lot better for Herald. So I think he's not less than average. He is average, but he can never be great, in my opinion. Moving forward to Japan. Japan is a really good civ. I like Japan. Much like Amanitore and Trajan, I think Japan is a civ that everybody should play when they're first learning the game because he teaches you how to set up cities around your districts very well. I don't think he's as good as any of these civs up here, but I don't think he's just average either. I think he is better than any of these civs that I have listed here just because you get so many bonuses. Like, you get so many cheap districts. You get half-cost encampments, holy sites, theater squares. You get high adjacency bonuses for your holy sites and your theater squares. You get really high adjacency bonuses for your industrial zones, and you're encouraged to build your cities close enough together to build those industrial zones. And then you get the unique factory, which gives you culture. So I think he's very pushed in a culture direction because of the holy sites and because of the electronics factory. But also I do feel like he can do a science game so easily, and he could do a faith game so easily. So all in all, Japan is a pretty strong civilization. They're not going to reach the heights of someone with a super focused game plan like these guys over here, but he's much better than these jack of all trades down here. Moving forward to Poland. Whoa, we have reached the 1 hour mark on this video. We're going to have to move a little bit faster. Poland. It's not a civ I've played too much of just because they're not great. You want to go religion domination, kind of. You want to build holy sites to culture bomb. No, not holy sites. You want to build encampments to culture bomb other civs. You want to build holy sites to get your religion. You need the religion to flip other cities. To get the bonuses from it. You need relics, and relics are just rare and hard to get. You get one military policy slot turned into a wildcard slot, which is good. That's probably the best thing about her, is the wildcard slot is so flexible and useful. That helps you get your religion, but it doesn't help you secure your religion all of the time. And you're so focused on getting a religion with her that you need it. And her other bonuses just don't make up for that. The Winged Hussar is okay. The Sukians is a nice building. It gives you extra production or extra gold. But she's not as good as someone like... Excuse me, sorry. She's not as good as any of these leaders. So she has to go way down here on the bottom. It's just... She's not terrible, but she's not strong enough to win the game by herself. She needs a good skilled player on Deity to get her to that point. Oh, Jaivarman of the Khmer, however you pronounce it. This is the biggest redemption story in all of Civ. This guy went from the worst leader in the game to the best leader in the game these days. I believe Civ 6 is balanced very easily around the culture game mode. Culture is the best victory type, and faith is a good way to play the game. He does all of those things greatly. He is focused on building the biggest cities possible. You get bonus food to holy sites on rivers. You get bonus housing. You get bonus food to aqueducts and farms. You get bonuses to faith for all of these things. You get bonuses to faith for all of your population. And then your prasat, your temple bonus, is if your cities are 10 population or higher, you get 10 tourism. And if it's 20 population or higher, you get 20 tourism. So imagine you have 10 population cities. That is 10 tourism just from your population, not to mention your religious tourism, your national parks that you're going to get because you have so much faith, and your great works and your wonders. So everything about this Civ is highly focused to building the biggest, highest population cities possible, getting a religion, which you're not necessarily guaranteed a religion. That slows him down a little bit, but even if you don't get a religion, your faith is going to carry you through with everything. Get a Grandmaster Chapel and conquer the entire world. Get the Void Singers and convert the entire world. He's so unbelievably strong. If you want a good, easy, chill romp of a game, pick up the Khmer and play Jayavarman and just destroy everybody. Portugal and João are... I have a different opinion of João compared to other people. To me, João is OP. He's in the OP tier, not as OP as these two, but he is up there. Because I play only on fractal maps, and João is very dependent on a fractal or an archipelago map. If you're playing on other things, he's probably down here. He's not bad. He's never bad. Having this much gold is never bad. But if you have him on a fractal map or an archipelago map where you can get tons and tons of coastal cities, and there's usually a continent or 2 continents, and every one of your cities can be coastal, you make so much gold so early in the game. He is what Mansa Musa wishes he could be. He is so good, so fun. Some of the best games I've ever had come from Portugal. And it's all because of their extra trade routes. You get so many extra trade routes. You get +1 trade route for every civilization you meet on top of all your other regular trade routes. So that's like 8 extra or 7 extra trade routes automatically from the game. And then your trade routes receive 50% extra towards their yields. Even though they have to be done in a coastal city, it is just so much. The Feitoria, it's okay, it's not great. It gives you extra gold in production, but you're not using it for every city-state out there, but I might be doing it wrong. The other thing I really love is the navigation school, because if you're on a fractal map and you have all those coastal cities, you are getting so much science and off of this university. So it is so fun to play a good Portugal game. It is so amazingly fun to just buy everything you need and not have to worry about anything. I have done crazy good space race games with Portugal. I've done crazy good domination games with Portugal. I've done crazy diplomatic, which I think is what he's best at, games with Portugal. Portugal is amazing if you play on Fractal like I do. If you don't play on Fractal, Portugal is, like I said, probably the best average civ. He goes from average to OP so fast. So yeah, he's someone that I recommend everybody play and check out. Coming up next, we have possibly the greatest music in the entire game, or second greatest, because my favorite is Korea's music. I love it. Is John Curtin, Australia. Australia is great. Australia is very good. They're very, very good at what they do, and what they do is get really, really, really high bonuses to their campuses, holy sites, commercial hubs, and theater squares. I think also get this bonus from their appeal, their tile appeal. So that's really great. They also get strong coastal cities, and since I play on fractal maps, I do love coastal cities. The only thing that stops them from being top of the great tier, I don't think they're here. I think they're more along this area. The only thing that stops them from topping it out is it is harder than you think to get breathtaking appeal. So on your campuses and stuff. So it is easy to find those charming tiles, but it's harder to find those breathtaking tiles. And the breathtaking tiles are really what you need in order to really pop off really strong as Australia. Also, I enjoy their outback stations. The food and production, additional food and production from pastures, is really good. It makes sheep tiles better. It makes it better to not harvest your sheep tiles, and it makes horse tiles actually really good. It makes it so that usually your horses mess up your district planning, right? But with Australia, you're not planning your districts around like the way you normally would. You're planning your districts around the appeal of an area, and they do play an amazing science game. I think Australia has one of the best science games in the entire game, and because of that, you know what, I might move him up here because I don't really have very strong science civs in this area. So John Curtin, Australia, great civ, great playstyle, so love him, absolutely love him. Christina is purely focused on culture. Her bonuses is that anything that has 3 great works or 2 great works of, like if it's a wonder, it gets automatically themed. And yeah, that's pretty good, but I mean, if you can get it done, get all those great works, that's good. And then she gets the Queen's Bibliothèque, which is like a government plaza building, which has all of these great work slots, and that'll theme up for you really well. But there are civs that do culture so much better than she does. this isn't a super strong bonus. Like, I would much rather be playing Vietnam if I'm going culture than I would be playing Christina. I kind of would rather be playing as Indonesia than Christina, to be perfectly honest. Christina, I do like the open air museum. You get the +2 culture and +2 tourism from each type of terrain that you have a city on. That makes me play in fun ways. Like, it makes me settle in weird city spots, and I like that. But she's kind of split. She has Diplo favor, like Diplo focus, and Civ culture focus, and that just makes her a weaker Civ overall. So I'm just gonna put her. I kind of would rather play all of these leaders than I would Christina. I would rather have Harold than Christina. So she's just average for me. Not great, not bad, but just average. Moving forward here, we've got China Kublai and Mongolia Kublai. And Kublai, to me, is like the epitome of just an okay average leader. I think he's better than these two here on the end, and I think the Chinese Kublai is better than the Mongolian Kublai, but he is like just very basic. If you want to play China without having the Wander bonus, boom, play Kublai and just get the Eureka bonus and have lots of Eureka bonuses from his leader ability, where you get a random Eureka and inspiration from trading posts, which you'll be building trade routes anyway because you get that extra economic slot. And yeah, just get a ton of Eurekas and snowball the game, and there you go. But you're not really working for wonders. So like some of like China's tourism focus sort of gets lost a little bit, I feel. I don't really use Great Walls whenever I have Kublai China. I don't really go for tourism. I just sort of go for like a Diplo game. If you're playing Mongolia Kublai, well, then you're just doing what Genghis Khan does, but, you know, without better cavalry. It's worse than Genghis, because you want the cavalry movement with him. But hey, you want extra money while you conquer some of the world? There you go. You got the extra economic policy slot. If you want to boost yourself through the technologies, well, you're going to be sending trade routes anyway to get the Diplo visibility to attack harder. So there you go. He just does it. He is very much the epitome of a just do whatever Civ. He reminds me a lot of Amanitore, but Amanitore I think is better overall because she just gets better bonuses. Extra economic policy slot, cool, whatever. Eurekas from trade routes, okay, cool. Other than that, they're just their respective Civs. And China and, well, like, Mongolia is just an average Civ, and this is worse than Genghis. And China I actually think is a pretty good Civ, but this is just a worse China, so he goes here. Coupe, if we're talking about AI Coupe, he's down here. But no, Coupe's not that bad. I actually like Coupe. I like Coupe better than most of these Civs here. I think he's way better at tourism than Sweden is. I think he's better at tourism than Indonesia is. Maybe he's not as good as Hammurabi, but he's an average Civ. I don't think he's great. I don't think he's OP, but he's better than anybody down here, in my opinion. Coupe, if you're not doing the cheesy thing where you play on the Terra map, I like to play on Fractal. So Coupe has a lot of land he can settle out early on in the game. You also get a lot of unimproved woods and rainforests on Fractal maps pretty often for me, so you get lots of production out of him early in the game, and that's what I love about him. You can settle these productive sites, and by the time you get your theater square and you get your Maori up, you get so much faith and culture, which turns into tourism. So his faith comes out a little bit later than Katarja's does, but it still comes out, and comes out a little bit stronger in my opinion. It's not so dependent on settling weaker cities. You can settle in intercontinental cities, and you can just get lots of production of faith out of them. I used to like him a lot less, and he's grown on me as I've become more of a culture victory player. Also, again, much like John Curtin, some of the best music in the entire game. I love listening to the Maori theme. So Do I think he is a top tier culture civ like Vietnam? No. Honestly, Vietnam kind of does what he does a lot better off of just having crazy good districts. But not being able to chop things really sort of like kind of hurts a little bit, because I do chop out things. So that might be the one thing that is preventing him from popping up here into great tier. I do require chops quite a bit, so your culture game comes a little bit later than some other people, but it does pop off really well when it comes. And with that, we've reached an hour and 10 minutes on this tier list video, so I'm probably going to cut this here and split it into 2 videos. Stay tuned for part 2 to finish the last 30 civs out here. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like. This type of video takes so much effort and so much work to produce, and so I'm really hoping that I get a lot of positive feedback on this video. And yeah, stay tuned for the next one, and I will see you then. As always, this has been SDG Sheep. Goodbye.